Amina was a young woman in a small village. She had to work hard every single day. Amina woke up before the sun came up. She made a fire to cook food for her family. Amina's mother and younger brothers and sisters counted on her. After cooking, Amina got her tools ready. She had a strong basket for carrying crops. She had a basic plow tool to work the fields. Amina wrapped a faded cloth around her head. This kept the hot sun off her face and neck when working outside. Amina's father died a few years ago from sickness. Since then, Amina became the main helper for her mother without a father. The family struggled a lot, but Amina did everything she could for them. As Amina headed out to the fields, a man named Desta saw her. Desta thought in his mind, Amina is very pretty. He loved flirting with all the women in the village. Good morning, beautiful Amina, Desta said with a big smile. You are looking lovely today. Amina did not stop walking. Good morning, Desta. I do not have time for your games today. Desta laughed. I only speak the truth. You are by far the best looking woman here. Amina kept going without responding. Desta called after her. Mark my words. One day you will want me as your husband. Amina shook her head. She headed out to the crop fields at the edge of the village. It was already getting hot from the morning sun. In the fields, Amina began her hard work routine. She walked slowly down each row of crops. She inspected every single plant carefully. Amina used her tool to dig up turnips and other root vegetables. She picked dried corn husk and beans. The work was very tiring. The hot sun beat down on Amina's wrapped head and back. Sweat dripped down her face and body. Flies constantly buzzed around her face. Her shoulders ached from bending over again and again. Still, Amina kept working without a break. Her mind wandered as she worked automatically. She thought about what Desta had said. Did she really want a husband like him? Amina didn't think so. Most men in the village were lazy. They sat around drinking homemade liquor all day. They only did a tiny bit of work when they absolutely had to. The women did everything else: cooking, cleaning, child care, and back-breaking labor in the fields. Amina watched her friends and neighbors get married one by one. At first, they seemed happy enough, but soon their husbands stopped appreciating them. The women had to serve their husbands hand and foot on top of everything else. Many stopped smiling or laughing after having kids year after year. No, Amina decided she did not need a husband like that. It would only add more difficulties to her life. She already had enough responsibilities taking care of her family. Amina wanted more for her future than being an unpaid servant. While Amina was deep in thought, she did not notice another man approach. It was a quieter man from the village named Kwasi. Hello, Amina, Kwasi said politely with a nod. Amina looked up, surprised. Oh, hello, Kwasi. I did not see you there. My apologies for startling you. Please allow me to help with the work, Kwasi said. He started picking up baskets of harvested crops. Amina furrowed her brow. Why would you want to help me? Kwasi responded calmly. Is it not a husband's duty to assist his wife's work? Amina felt her face get hot with anger. Were all the men just looking for a wife to serve them? We are not married, Kwasi. We are not anything, Amina said sternly. Do not make foolish assumptions about me. Kwasi looked taken aback by her harsh reaction. You misunderstand me, Amina. I meant no disrespect. I merely wish to ease your heavy workload, even briefly. You labor much harder than anyone in this village. Amina studied Kwasi's sincere expression. He did seem different than the boastful men always joking around. I appreciate your offer, Amina said, still a bit unsure. But I do not need help from any man, even with good intentions. Kwasi simply nodded. The two walked in silence for a while, side by side. Eventually, Kwasi spoke up again. If I may say, you are an incredible force in this village, Amina. Feeding families, contributing beautiful embroidery crafts, showing such diligence and selflessness at your age. You are remarkable. Amina felt her face flush at the unexpected compliment. Well, thank you, I suppose. Too often, men in this village take women's efforts for granted, but not I. Your work and sacrifice for your family does not go unnoticed or unappreciated, at least not by me. Amina studied Kwasi again, touched by his kind words. Perhaps she had misjudged him. Just then, two more men from the village approached, Boka and Adeya. What are you two doing over here? Boka asked with a grin. We could not help but to notice Amina toiling once again in these fields alone, Adeya added. That is unacceptable for one woman. The two began picking up baskets as well and joining the harvesting efforts. What is going on? Amina asked, confused. We have decided to lend you our efforts to ease your great burden, Boka explained. Yes, we realize now how unfairly you are left to shoulder the labor of both men and women in this village, said Adeya. That imbalance stops today. Amina watched, amazed, as more men began filtering into the fields to help. They worked diligently alongside her, harvesting crops and filling baskets after baskets, row after row. With so many people, the workload became manageable very quickly. Amina was able to take breaks, drinking water and resting in the little patches of shade. She watched the men with new appreciation. By the time the sun began to set, they had harvested every last crop. The men wiped the sweat from their brows with satisfied smiles. Amina felt a swell of gratitude. She had never experienced this kind of teamwork and support in the fields before. Thank you, all of you, she told the men sincerely. I cannot tell you how much your help means to me today. Kwasi spoke up. No, Amina, thank you for your lifetime of thankless work to keep this village fed and operating. We owed you these debts and much more. Please allow us to contribute equally from now on. Boka and the others nodded enthusiastically in agreement. A new tradition and partnership began that day in the village. From then on, Amina embraced the men's effort to ease her load. She understood their change of attitude was sincere. The men worked as hard as the women in the fields and homes. They cooked meals, drew water, repaired buildings, and helped raise their children together. With everyone's shared contributions, no one was overburdened. Amina had much free time to pursue her passions like embroidery and simply relaxing. She was able to be productive and happy, but not endlessly exhausted. What began as bitterness toward the men turned to friendship and trust. Amina saw their capacity for hard work, respect, and appreciation. They treated her as an equal partner, not a servant. Over time, Amina even began viewing Kwasi as more than just a friend. She admired his quiet strength, kindness, and positive presence. Amina worked up the courage to admit her feelings for him. To her delight, Kwasi shared the same feelings with her. From that day on, they became husband and wife through a small ceremony. But their marital roles were based on mutual love, understanding, and teamwork, not subservience. When their first child was born, both parents were able to share in the joys and responsibilities. Kwasi was just as loving and committed as Amina. Their child grew up seeing a household of balance and equality between women and men. Happiness bloomed in that village like the crops that tender together. Amina finally experienced the life she had only dreamed of, one with purpose beyond ceaseless toil and with a true partnership of respect. She learned that good men did exist after all. All it took was a chance to open your heart and be surrounded by their good intentions.
A royal man.